Mia Johnson, a young, ambitious entrepreneur, was bursting with excitement as she approached the gate for her flight to New York. The trip was critical, a once-in-a-lifetime chance to present her revolutionary business idea at a prestigious competition that could secure the funding she needed. She clutched her meticulously packed carry-on, carefully chosen to meet the airline's size and weight restrictions, and boarded the plane with a hopeful smile. The cabin was bustling with passengers settling into their seats, but Mia quickly noticed a flight attendant, a tall woman with a stern expression, eyeing her intently as she placed her bag in the overhead bin. "Ma'am, that bag looks oversized. You'll need to check it," the attendant said curtly. Mia, taken aback, politely explained, "I measured and weighed it before leaving home. It fits the airline's guidelines." The attendant's tone hardened. "I said it's too big. You're holding up the boarding process. Please step aside." Confused and slightly embarrassed, Mia complied, removing her bag from the bin. She offered to demonstrate that it fit, but the attendant dismissed her with a wave of her hand. Other passengers began to murmur, some visibly frustrated with the unnecessary delay. As Mia stood by her seat, trying to find a resolution, the situation escalated. The flight attendant accused her of being uncooperative and disruptive. Despite Mia's calm demeanor, the attendant called security, claiming Mia was refusing to follow instructions. "I'm just trying to understand why I can't keep my bag," Mia responded, her voice shaking with disbelief. Her heart sank as a uniformed officer approached, and she was asked to leave the plane. Passengers began recording the exchange on their phones, and one man called out, "This is ridiculous. She's not doing anything wrong." A few passengers offered to switch places to help resolve the issue, but the attendant refused to listen. Feeling the weight of humiliation and frustration, Mia exited the plane with her carry-on in hand, tears welling up as she watched the doors close behind her. As Mia sat in the terminal, struggling to compose herself, she resolved to share her experience. She wrote a heartfelt post on her social media, detailing the events leading to her removal from the plane, and attaching the video sent to her by fellow passengers. The post read, "I was kicked off a flight today for no reason other than being a black woman standing up for herself. This cannot continue." Unbeknownst to Mia, her post was about to ignite a firestorm, turning a moment of humiliation into the spark that would change her life forever. Mia's post spread like wildfire. Within hours, her story was shared thousands of times, and the video clips of the incident recorded by other passengers began circulating across major social media platforms. Comments poured in from people expressing outrage over her treatment. The hashtag, Justice for Mia, trended within the day, sparking conversations about discrimination in the airline industry. As Mia sat in the airport still shaken, she began receiving an influx of messages, some from strangers offering support, and others sharing their own stories of mistreatment while flying. News outlets quickly picked up the story, plastering headlines like "Flight Attendant Kicks Black Woman Off Plane Over Carry-On Bag Dispute." Even high-profile activists and celebrities chimed in, amplifying her voice and demanding accountability from the airline. Meanwhile, the airline responded with a cold and formal statement. "We take these matters seriously and are investigating the incident." The lack of a genuine apology only fueled public anger. Online users unearthed previous complaints about the airline, including allegations of discrimination against passengers of color. Soon, employees began anonymously leaking internal stories of similar incidents, painting a damning picture of the company's culture. Mia, overwhelmed by the attention but determined to speak her truth, accepted invitations for interviews. She appeared on major talk shows, recounting the event with dignity and poise. "It's not just about me," she said during one interview. "It's about holding companies accountable for policies that perpetuate inequality. No one should have to face humiliation just because they're different." While her story gained traction, the airline doubled down, releasing footage from the plane in an attempt to defend their flight attendants' actions. However, the video only further highlighted Mia's calm demeanor and the flight attendant's disproportionate response. It became clear to the public that Mia had been targeted unfairly. Things took a dramatic turn when a former flight attendant from the airline came forward, claiming the company had unwritten policies encouraging staff to keep certain undesirable demographics in check, particularly young women of color traveling alone. The revelation sent shockwaves across the internet, solidifying Mia's case in the court of public opinion. Through all the chaos, Mia remained focused. Though the airline's actions had derailed her trip, she refused to let the setback define her. "I missed my competition," she said in one interview, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "But this has given me a bigger platform than I ever could have imagined. Now I want to use it for something meaningful." Behind the scenes, Mia began receiving unexpected messages of support from influential people, including Naomi James, a billionaire entrepreneur and philanthropist known for championing social justice. Naomi's message was simple but impactful. "I see you. Let's talk." Intrigued but cautious, Mia agreed to a video call, unaware that this interaction would be the turning point in her life. As the public backlash against the airline grew, Mia realized she wasn't just telling her story. She was becoming a symbol of resilience and change. What had started as a moment of humiliation was now a movement that she had every intention of leading. When Mia joined the video call with Naomi James, she wasn't sure what to expect. Naomi, a self-made billionaire with a reputation for empowering underrepresented communities, greeted Mia with warmth and sincerity. "I watched your story unfold," Naomi said, her voice calm but firm. "What happened to you is unacceptable, but I can see that you're turning this pain into purpose. I believe you have something the world needs to hear." Mia was initially hesitant. She didn't want her experience to be reduced to a fleeting viral moment or a charity case. But Naomi was quick to reassure her. "I'm not here to pity you," she said. "I'm here because I see someone with the potential to create real change. Tell me about your vision." Taking a deep breath, Mia began explaining the idea that had led her to board that ill-fated flight in the first place. For months, she had been developing a business plan for a tech-driven airline that prioritized customer satisfaction, transparency, and equitable treatment for all passengers. The current airline industry operates on outdated systems and discriminatory practices, Mia explained. "My idea was to create something better, an airline where passengers feel respected, where their time and needs are valued." Naomi listened intently, occasionally nodding or jotting down notes. When Mia finished, she leaned forward and smiled. "This is brilliant," Naomi said, "and exactly the kind of disruption the industry needs. What's stopping you?" Mia hesitated. "Funding," she admitted. "I was on my way to pitch this idea when everything happened. I missed the competition, and now I'm back to square one." Naomi's smile widened. "Not anymore. I'm going to invest in you." Mia's jaw dropped as Naomi elaborated. "I've built my career on recognizing potential, and I see it in you. We'll start with seed funding to get your company off the ground, and I'll connect you with my network of experts to refine your vision." The partnership felt surreal to Mia, but Naomi's confidence was contagious. Over the following weeks, Mia threw herself into the work, meeting with branding specialists, software engineers, and aviation consultants, all provided through Naomi's network. They worked tirelessly to turn Mia's vision into a reality. She named her airline Attendant, a nod to her belief in rising above obstacles. As Attendant began to take shape, Naomi encouraged Mia to leverage her growing platform to rally public support. Mia continued sharing her journey online, updating her followers about the progress she was making. The same people who had rallied around her after the plane incident now became her champions, eagerly anticipating the launch of her revolutionary airline. But behind the scenes, Mia was also preparing for a legal battle. Encouraged by Naomi and her legal team, she filed a discrimination lawsuit against the airline that had removed her from the plane. "This isn't just for me," she explained during a press conference. "It's for every passenger who's been made to feel less than because of who they are." As the lawsuit moved forward, the airline's legal team attempted to paint Mia as opportunistic, but their efforts backfired. Each time they tried to discredit her, more of her supporters came forward to defend her integrity. Former employees of the airline continued to leak internal documents, exposing a pattern of discriminatory practices that couldn't be ignored. While Mia worked tirelessly on Attendant, she began to notice a shift in public sentiment. What had started as outrage over her treatment was evolving into excitement about her vision for a better future. Naomi's investment and mentorship had given Mia the tools to turn her pain into progress, and she was determined to see it through. But the biggest twist was still to come, one that would turn Mia's fight for justice into a seismic shift in the airline industry. With Naomi's investment and mentorship, Mia threw herself into building Attendant, a company designed to revolutionize the airline industry. She envisioned more than just an airline. She wanted to create a movement, one that prioritized the dignity and experience of passengers above all else. Mia worked tirelessly, assembling a diverse team of experts from technology, aviation, and customer service industries. She wanted every aspect of her airline to reflect the values she stood for: fairness, inclusivity, and innovation. Her team developed cutting-edge technology that allowed passengers to personalize their travel experience. From AI-driven customer support to real-time updates on flights, Attendant aimed to eliminate the frustrations that had become synonymous with air travel. One of Mia's standout ideas was the Passenger Equity Index, PEI, an internal metric designed to track and prevent discriminatory practices within the company. The PEI ensured that every employee, from ground staff to pilots, was trained in cultural sensitivity and inclusivity. Attendant also introduced anonymous reporting systems for both employees and passengers to hold the company accountable. During the planning stages, Mia hosted town halls and focus groups with frequent flyers, listening to their grievances about existing airlines. Passengers spoke about everything from hidden fees to the lack of diversity in cabin crews. Mia took these insights to heart, incorporating them into Attendant's policies. "This airline isn't just for me," she explained during a live-streamed update. "It's for everyone who's ever felt unheard or mistreated while traveling." Naomi encouraged Mia to aim higher, and together they began crafting a marketing campaign to introduce Attendant to the world. The tagline, "Fly Above It All," was both a nod to the company's mission and a personal reflection of Mia's journey. The campaign highlighted Attendant's commitment to transparency, featuring ads that proudly declared, "No hidden fees, no overlooked passengers, just respect, innovation, and great service." As news of Attendant's launch spread, public anticipation grew. Mia leveraged the momentum from her viral story to build a loyal following of future customers. Social media was flooded with posts about the upcoming airline, and people across the country expressed excitement for its launch. However, Mia knew she couldn't focus solely on building her business. Her lawsuit against the airline that had wronged her was ongoing, and new developments were unfolding. A whistleblower within the airline leaked a shocking memo to the press, revealing that the flight attendant who removed Mia had been praised by her supervisor for de-escalating a high-risk passenger, a label that had been unjustly applied to Mia simply because of her race. The memo sparked outrage, further tarnishing the airline's reputation. Protesters gathered outside the company's headquarters, holding signs that read, "We stand with Mia, and discrimination has no place in the skies." The airline tried to issue another statement, claiming the incident was an isolated case, but few believed them. Meanwhile, investors began to notice Attendant's rise. Industry insiders speculated that the newcomer airline could disrupt the market in unprecedented ways. Established carriers grew nervous, knowing that Attendant's focus on equity and customer satisfaction tapped into a growing demand for change. Mia felt the pressure of expectations mounting, but she remained steadfast. She wanted Attendant to succeed, not just as a business, but as a beacon of hope. "This is bigger than me," she reminded her team during a late-night strategy meeting. "We're not just building an airline, we're setting a standard." As the launch date approached, Mia received an invitation to speak at a major business conference. Her keynote address, titled "Redefining the Skies," was met with thunderous applause. She shared her story, the challenges she faced, and her vision for Attendant, moving the audience to tears and earning her a standing ovation. But while Mia was celebrating these milestones, A seismic opportunity was brewing in the background. The airline that had wronged her was crumbling under public scrutiny and legal battles, and a surprising proposal was about to land in her lap. Mia's lawsuit against the airline escalated into a high-profile case, drawing national attention as more details emerged about the company's internal culture. The leaked memo labeling her a high-risk passenger was a turning point, igniting public outrage and intensifying calls for accountability. The airline's attempts to spin the narrative fell flat, as each new revelation exposed a deeper systemic problem. The legal team Naomi had assembled for Mia was formidable, including renowned civil rights attorneys and aviation industry experts. Together, they built a compelling case that not only focused on Mia's experience, but also highlighted the broader implications of discriminatory practices in the airline industry. They uncovered a troubling pattern: complaints from other passengers who had faced similar treatment, and a history of disproportionately targeting people of color for alleged disruptive behavior. The courtroom became a battleground for justice. The airline's lawyers argued that the flight attendant had acted within company policy and that Mia had been combative, despite video evidence proving otherwise. The videos, which showed Mia's calm demeanor during the incident, became key evidence in the trial. Witnesses, including passengers from the flight, testified on Mia's behalf, describing her as polite and cooperative while condemning the flight attendant's behavior. During cross-examination, Mia's legal team grilled airline executives about their training programs and internal policies. When asked about the high-risk passenger designation in the leaked memo, one executive faltered, admitting under pressure that such labels were often subjective and lacked clear criteria. This admission was a bombshell, further undermining the airline's defense. Outside the courthouse, protests continued to grow. Activists, celebrities, and even former employees of the airline rallied in support of Mia. One ex-flight attendant came forward with her own story of being pressured to profile passengers based on race and appearance. "I was told to watch out for certain types of people," she revealed during a live interview. "It was wrong, and I couldn't stay silent anymore." The tide of public opinion turned decisively against the airline. Shareholders began voicing concerns about the company's leadership, and the stock price plummeted as boycotts spread. The lawsuit wasn't just about justice for Mia anymore. It had become a reckoning for an industry plagued by systemic inequities. Mia's courtroom testimony was a pivotal moment. Standing before the judge and jury, she spoke with unwavering determination. "This isn't just about me," she said. "It's about everyone who has been judged unfairly, treated poorly, or silenced because they didn't fit someone else's idea of who belongs. I'm fighting so that no one else has to go through what I did." As the case drew to a close, Mia's legal team presented their final arguments, emphasizing the airline's failure to take responsibility and the harm it had caused not only to Mia, but to countless others. The jury deliberated for days, and when the verdict was announced, it sent shockwaves across the nation. The airline was found guilty of discrimination and ordered to pay significant damages to Mia. The victory was monumental, but Mia's journey was far from over. The damages awarded were substantial, but she didn't celebrate the money. It was the message that mattered. "This is a win for all of us," she told reporters outside the courthouse. "But it's not the end. We need to rebuild this industry from the ground up." With her reputation as a fierce advocate for change solidified, Mia turned her focus back to Attendant, which was preparing for its official launch. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, discussions began to swirl about a surprising opportunity. The struggling airline that had wronged her was on the brink of collapse, and Mia's team was quietly exploring the possibility of an acquisition. What had started as a fight for justice was evolving into a chance to redefine the future of air travel, and Mia was ready to rise to the challenge. As Mia celebrated her legal victory, the airline that had wronged her faced an uncertain future. The verdict had crippled its reputation, leading to mass cancellations, public boycotts, and an exodus of corporate clients. Investors were in disarray as the company's stock price plummeted to historic lows. Behind closed doors, rumors swirled that bankruptcy was inevitable unless drastic measures were taken. Meanwhile, Mia and her team at Ascendair had no time to rest. The airline's imminent collapse was a stark reminder of the importance of creating a sustainable, equitable business model. But then, in a twist that no one could have anticipated, Mia's legal team received a surprising call. The airline's board of directors wanted to discuss the possibility of a buyout. Ascendair, they proposed, could purchase the struggling company's assets and infrastructure at a fraction of its value. At first, Mia was stunned. The thought of owning the very airline that had humiliated her seemed surreal. Her initial reaction was to reject the offer outright. "Why would I want anything to do with them?" she asked Naomi during a late-night strategy meeting. But Naomi, ever the visionary, saw the potential in the proposal. "This isn't about helping them," she said. "It's about taking control of an industry that needs to change. Imagine what you could do with their resources." Reluctantly, Mia agreed to explore the possibility. Her team conducted a thorough review of the airline's operations, uncovering deep-rooted inefficiencies and outdated systems that had contributed to its downfall. They also found something even more disturbing: internal documents revealing the airline's unofficial policy of profiling passengers. This practice had been quietly endorsed by senior management, despite repeated warnings from lower-level staff about its ethical and legal implications. The discovery infuriated Mia, but it also solidified her resolve. "We're not just buying an airline," she told her team. "We're taking a broken system and rebuilding it from the ground up. If we do this, it has to be on our terms." Negotiations began, and Mia quickly made it clear that she was in the driver's seat. The airline's board, desperate to salvage what little value remained, agreed to her demands. The deal was finalized in record time, with Ascendair acquiring the airline's fleet, routes, and operational infrastructure. But Mia refused to keep the old name, insisting on a complete rebranding under the Ascendair banner. The acquisition made headlines worldwide, with media outlets calling it one of the most dramatic turnarounds in business history. "From passenger to CEO," one article proclaimed, while another declared, "The woman who took flight and changed the skies." Public reaction was overwhelmingly positive, with many hailing Mia as a symbol of resilience and justice. But not everyone was pleased. Some industry insiders criticized the acquisition, claiming Mia was in over her head. "She's too inexperienced," one commentator remarked. "Running a business of this scale isn't the same as winning a lawsuit." Mia, however, refused to let the skepticism deter her. "They said the same thing when I started Ascendair," she reminded her team. "And look where we are now." As the dust settled, Mia turned her attention to the monumental task ahead. Her priority was to dismantle the toxic culture that had plagued the old airline. She launched an internal review, promising transparency and accountability at every level. Employees who had perpetuated discriminatory practices were removed, while whistleblowers who had spoken out were invited back with promotions. Mia also implemented sweeping changes to the company's operations. Outdated policies were replaced with innovative solutions designed to enhance the passenger experience. She introduced a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination and expanded Ascendair's equity training programs to include every new hire. For Mia, the acquisition wasn't just a business decision, it was personal. "This isn't just about fixing what's broken," she said during a press conference. "It's about creating something better, an airline where everyone feels welcome, respected, and valued." As Ascendair prepared for its relaunch, Mia's journey came full circle. What began as a moment of humiliation had transformed into a story of triumph, with Mia not just reclaiming her power but reshaping an entire industry. The day Ascendair officially acquired the assets of the airline that had wronged Mia was hailed as a watershed moment in business history. Media outlets buzzed with the story, chronicling how Mia had gone from being unjustly removed from a flight to owning the very company responsible for her mistreatment. Ascendair's acquisition wasn't just a financial transaction. It was a symbolic victory for justice and a demonstration of what resilience and vision could achieve. However, Mia knew the real work was just beginning. Despite the public celebrations, she and her team faced a monumental challenge: integrating the old airline's infrastructure into Ascendair's operations while dismantling its toxic legacy. It wasn't enough to simply rebrand the company. Mia was determined to rebuild it entirely, transforming it into a beacon of equity, innovation, and customer care. One of her first moves was to assemble a new leadership team. She personally reached out to industry veterans with reputations for integrity and innovation, as well as younger, diverse professionals who brought fresh perspectives to the table. "We need leaders who understand that an airline is more than just planes and routes," Mia told her board. "It's about the people, both our employees and our passengers." To ensure a smooth transition, Mia launched an internal audit of all the acquired airlines' operations. What she found shocked even her: outdated systems, bloated bureaucracies, and a culture that prioritized profit over people. But the most damning revelation was the internal database of high-risk passengers, a blacklist that disproportionately targeted travelers of color, particularly young black women. Mia addressed the issue head-on, holding a press conference to reveal the findings. "This database is a stain on this company's history," she declared. "It's not just unethical, it's unthinkable. That's why I'm dismantling it immediately and implementing safeguards to ensure nothing like this ever happens again." Her transparency earned widespread praise, solidifying public trust in her leadership. Next, Mia focused on reshaping the airline's customer experience. She introduced new policies that prioritized passenger rights, including a commitment to no hidden fees, clear communication during delays, and an empathetic approach to resolving complaints. Ascendair also became the first airline to guarantee a full refund for passengers who felt they had been treated unfairly. No questions asked. Internally, Mia prioritized employee morale. She knew that many of the airline's problems stemmed from a toxic work culture that left staff overworked and undervalued. To address this, she introduced initiatives like flexible schedules, mental health support, and profit-sharing programs for frontline workers. "Happy employees create happy customers," she said during an internal town hall meeting, "and happy customers will keep us flying high." One of Mia's boldest moves was to expand Ascendair's training programs. Every employee, from pilots to baggage handlers, was required to complete courses on equity, cultural sensitivity, and customer care. "This isn't just about compliance," she explained. "It's about creating a culture where everyone feels respected and valued." Despite the challenges, the transformation began to show results. Former customers of the old airline, initially skeptical of Ascendair, began sharing positive reviews about the new experience. Employees who had once felt demoralized described a renewed sense of pride in their work. The airline's social media accounts were flooded with messages of support, many from passengers who had experienced discrimination in the past and were eager to give Ascendair a chance. As the relaunch date approached, Mia planned a grand unveiling to showcase the airline's new direction. She invited journalists, activists, and loyal followers to a special event at Ascendair's flagship terminal. The event included a tour of the newly redesigned planes, which featured modern amenities and personal touches that emphasized passenger comfort. But the highlight of the event was Mia's keynote address. Standing in front of a massive banner that read, "Ascend Together," she spoke directly to the crowd and the world. "This isn't just an airline," she said, her voice steady and full of conviction. "It's a promise to treat every passenger with dignity, to honor every employee's contributions, and to show the world that business can be a force for good." The event concluded with the unveiling of Ascendair's new fleet, painted in sleek modern designs and adorned with the company's slogan, "Fly above it all." As Mia stepped onto the tarmac, a roar of applause echoed through the terminal. She had done what many thought was impossible. She had taken a moment of personal injustice and turned it into a movement that was reshaping an entire industry. Yet as Mia prepared for Ascendair's inaugural flight, she knew her journey was far from over. The skies ahead were wide open, filled with challenges and opportunities, and she was ready to soar. As Ascendair soared toward its relaunch, Mia's team continued digging through the records and practices of the acquired airline. While much of the groundwork had been laid for a fresh start, One final piece of the puzzle revealed a shocking secret that threatened to shake the entire industry. In the process of reviewing the airline's outdated operational policies, Mia's legal team unearthed a hidden cache of documents that went beyond profiling passengers. These files contained explicit instructions from senior management outlining quotas for removing problematic passengers, which disproportionately targeted people of color, young travelers, and those who frequently voiced concerns about their treatment. The files described these removals as preemptive measures to ensure smooth operations and protect the airline's reputation. An ironic twist, given the fallout that had brought the company to its knees. The discovery sickened Mia. These weren't just isolated incidents, they were part of a deeply entrenched strategy rooted in bias and corporate greed. The policies, which had been enforced for years, were a stark reminder of how institutionalized discrimination could fester unchecked when accountability was absent. But Mia wasn't just angry, she was determined to act. "We can't just bury this," Mia told her team during an emergency meeting. "The world needs to know what happened here, and we need to be the ones to tell them. Transparency is the only way forward." It was a risky move, but Mia had always believed that accountability was the foundation of change. Mia prepared to hold a press conference to share the revelations with the public. Her legal team cautioned her about the potential fallout, but Naomi encouraged her. "This isn't just about exposing the past," Naomi said. "It's about showing the world how far we've come, and how far we're willing to go to do things differently." The press conference was a defining moment in Mia's leadership. Standing before a sea of cameras, she held up one of the incriminating documents. "This is what we found," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "A system that prioritized bias over fairness, profits over people. This was wrong then, and it's wrong now. That's why I'm here, to ensure this never happens again." Mia announced a full internal investigation into the extent of the policy's impact, promising reparations for passengers who had been unfairly targeted. She also outlined a new set of policies for Attendant, including a passenger bill of rights that guaranteed equitable treatment and recourse for all travelers. "We're not just rewriting the rules," she said. "We're redefining the standard." The announcement sent shockwaves through the industry. While some critics accused Mia of airing dirty laundry, the majority praised her courage and integrity. The revelation reignited public conversations about systemic discrimination in corporate practices, with many calling on other airlines to conduct similar audits of their own policies. Behind the scenes, Mia reached out to passengers who had been profiled under the old policies, offering them free flights, personal apologies, and seats on Attendant's inaugural flight. For many, it was the first time they felt truly seen and valued by an airline. Mia's decision to confront the past head-on had another unexpected outcome. It inspired her employees to rally behind her vision. Pilots, flight attendants, and ground staff who had once felt trapped in a toxic environment were energized by her leadership. "She's not just talking about change," one veteran pilot said. "She's making it happen, and we get to be a part of it." As Attendant prepared for its relaunch, Mia reflected on the journey that had brought her here. The revelations had been painful, but they had also provided an opportunity for growth. "The truth doesn't weaken us," she told her team. "It strengthens us, because now we know exactly what we're rising above." With the past fully exposed and a brighter future ahead, Attendant was ready to take off, not just as a rebranded airline, but as a symbol of justice, accountability, and innovation. The day of Attendant's grand relaunch had finally arrived, marking the culmination of Mia's journey from injustice to triumph. The company's flagship terminal was abuzz with energy as journalists, activists, employees, and passengers gathered for the historic occasion. For Mia, this was more than just the start of a new airline. It was the fulfillment of a promise to herself, her supporters, and everyone who had ever faced unfair treatment. As she stepped onto the stage to deliver her keynote speech, the crowd erupted into applause. Mia looked out at the sea of faces, some familiar and others new, and took a deep breath. This moment, she realized, wasn't just about her. It was about everyone who had believed in her vision and stood by her through the challenges. "Welcome to the future of air travel," she began, her voice steady but full of emotion. "Ascendair isn't just an airline. It's a commitment to equity, to respect, and to ensuring that every passenger, no matter who they are or where they come from, feels valued." She recounted her journey, starting with the incident that had led her to this moment. "I was humiliated, silenced, and made to feel powerless," she said. "But instead of giving up, I chose to rise. I chose to turn that moment of pain into a platform for change. And today I stand here not just as a CEO, but as a reminder that resilience and purpose can overcome even the greatest obstacles." The crowd gave her a standing ovation, but the most emotional moment was yet to come. As part of the relaunch, Ascendair had scheduled an inaugural flight, a symbolic journey from the city where Mia had been removed from her flight to her original destination, New York. Mia would be aboard, surrounded by passengers who had supported her during her fight for justice. The gate for the flight was a scene of celebration. Ascendair employees, dressed in their new uniforms, greeted passengers with warmth and enthusiasm. Among those boarding the flight were people who had experienced discrimination under the previous airline's policies. Mia had personally invited them, offering them the opportunity to be part of the company's new chapter. As Mia walked through the cabin, she stopped to speak with passengers, listening to their stories and thanking them for their support. Many expressed gratitude for her courage and determination. One elderly woman, wiping away tears, said, "I never thought I'd live to see someone like you leading a company like this. You've given us all hope." The flight itself was a masterpiece of innovation and comfort. Passengers marveled at the spacious seats, personalized service, and cutting-edge amenities. Ascendair's staff, inspired by Mia's leadership, went above and beyond to make every traveler feel welcome. For Mia, the experience was deeply personal. She had fought hard to create a space where everyone could feel respected, and now she was witnessing her vision come to life. As the plane ascended into the sky, Mia felt a wave of emotions. The journey symbolized more than just a new beginning for the airline. It was a testament to her belief in rising above adversity. She had taken control of her narrative, turning a moment of humiliation into a story of triumph that would inspire others for years to come. When the plane landed in New York, it was met with cheers and applause. The passengers disembarked with smiles on their faces, many expressing excitement to fly with Ascendair again. For Mia, the moment felt surreal. She had started this journey as a passenger removed from a plane, and now she was the CEO of an airline that people were proud to support. During the post-flight celebration, Mia addressed the crowd one last time. "This is just the beginning," she said. "Ascendair is more than an airline. It's a movement. Together we'll continue to rise, break barriers, and redefine what's possible. Thank you for believing in me. Let's ascend together." The crowd roared with applause as Mia stepped off the stage, her heart full of gratitude and determination. She had come full circle, but she knew her journey wasn't over. The skies were wide open, and Mia was ready to lead Ascendair and the industry into a brighter, more inclusive future. The relaunch of Ascendair marked a pivotal moment not just for Mia but for the entire airline industry. As the media covered the event in detail, it became clear that this wasn't merely the debut of a new airline, it was the beginning of a new era. Mia's story, from being unjustly ejected, from a flight to owning and transforming an airline, resonated far and wide, inspiring countless individuals to challenge the status quo in their own industries. In the weeks following the relaunch, Ascendair became the talk of the travel world. Passengers who had flown on the inaugural flights flooded social media with glowing reviews, praising everything from the airline's customer service to its groundbreaking passenger Bill of Rights. The hashtag, #YourFlyAboveItAll, began trending as customers shared their experiences and celebrated Mia's vision. But Mia wasn't content to rest on her laurels. While Ascendair was thriving, she remained focused on the larger goal, redefining air travel and addressing systemic inequities across the industry. She worked tirelessly with regulators and advocacy groups to push for broader reforms, including stricter anti-discrimination policies and increased transparency in the way airlines handled passenger complaints. Mia also became a prominent voice in corporate leadership, delivering keynote speeches at major conferences and writing op-eds about the importance of equity and accountability in business. "It's not enough to succeed," she wrote in one widely shared article. "We have to ensure that our success paves the way for others. True leadership isn't about profits, it's about progress." As Ascendair grew, Mia made it a point to give back to the community that had supported her through her journey. She launched the Ascend Initiative, a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering underrepresented entrepreneurs in the travel and hospitality sectors. The initiative offered mentorship programs, funding opportunities, and networking events, creating a pipeline for diverse talent to thrive in an industry that had long been dominated by the status quo. Internally, Ascendair continued to set the standard for employee satisfaction. The profit-sharing program, mental health resources, and professional development opportunities had transformed the airline into one of the most sought-after employers in the industry. Employee turnover rates plummeted, and customer satisfaction ratings soared, cementing Ascendair's reputation as a company that truly valued its people. The ripple effects of Mia's leadership extended far beyond Ascendair. Inspired by her success, other airlines began reevaluating their own practices, introducing new policies to address the concerns of marginalized groups. Industry watchdogs praised Mia's efforts, calling her a trailblazer who had not only disrupted the airline industry, but also reshaped its future. Years later, Ascendair had become a global leader in air travel, known not just for its innovative services, but also for its unwavering commitment to fairness and inclusivity. Mia, now a celebrated figure in business and social justice, reflected on the journey that had brought her here. She often revisited the moment that had started it all, the humiliation of being removed from that flight. What had once felt like the worst day of her life had become the catalyst for everything she had achieved. "Sometimes life knocks you down so you can rise higher than you ever imagined," she often said during speeches. In her final act of poetic justice, Mia introduced a special scholarship program for aspiring aviators and business leaders, named after the city where she had been removed from the plane. "This is for everyone who was told they didn't belong," she said at the launch ceremony. "Because you do. And together, we'll keep reaching new heights." Mia's legacy wasn't just about running a successful airline. It was about changing the way people thought about power, fairness, and possibility. She had turned a moment of injustice into a movement of progress, proving that resilience, determination, and a clear vision could truly transform the world. As she looked out at the skies, now filled with Ascendair planes carrying passengers of all backgrounds, Mia smiled. The journey had been anything but easy, but it had been worth every twist and turn. And as Ascendair's slogan declared, the future was bright, for everyone willing to fly above it all.